The diet that made me a superhero. I was fat and my life fell apart. Okay, I was not fat, but skinny fat. I was very unhappy with the way I looked and I felt like shit. When I was around 30, I hated to look in the mirror. Being half Korean, I had this big flat face, so when I'm gaining weight, I always gain weight in the face first, which I think makes me look like a pancake, but that's just me. I also felt like crap. My allergies were going through the roof and I got a crazy autoimmune disease called heat hives. So every time I would sweat, I would have these full body outbreaks with severe itching and skin rashes. It didn't matter if it was a workout, a change in temperature, or even having sex. It just affected all areas of my life and it sucked. And to make things even worse, I was feeling tired all the time, no matter how much caffeine I would drink. I was always extremely tired. Even if I had 7 double espressos, I would still fall asleep multiple times during the day. At this point, my life became unbearable, particularly because I was no longer capable of being productive at work. So I decided I needed an extreme change. If you want extremely different results, you also need to do things extremely differently. There is a hermetic law that governs our universe, the law of correspondence, and it says, as above, so below. So basically, I was open to doing anything to improve my health. So it was clear to me that because I wanted extremely different results, I had to go on an extreme path. Chapter 1: The Detox Experience. I believe that God has created us in a perfect way. In my opinion, we're supposed to be healthy and we're supposed to feel good. So, following this logic, I thought, okay, you're doing something wrong and you've probably poisoned your body with your lifestyle habits. So for me, all the symptoms that I had, I didn't look at them one by one, but holistically and systematically. I was just generally thinking, okay, I need to clean my body from toxins, so I was looking for an approach that would focus on cleaning my system and then trying not to poison it again. I found a book that matched this criteria. The book was called Heal Yourself 101 by Marcus Rothkranz. In this book, he recommends that before you start with a clean diet, you have to go through a cleanse first, which is basically a fast. So I went on a 6-week fast. The first 10 days were a water fast. It's only drinking water, and the second phase is juices, which is just drinking fresh vegetable juices. And you do that for 6 weeks. You go through it, you bear the symptoms, you detox, and then it seemed kind of logical to me to not eat processed foods anymore. I still believe in that. Our environment is very, very toxic. A lot of things in the food that we eat is toxic, even in natural foods, even our fresh air, because our air is very polluted. This pollution, the toxins we regularly put into our bodies, accumulates. And therefore, we need a cleanse from time to time. The best way to cleanse is fasting. Fasting allows your body to get rid of your accumulated toxins and bad chemicals. It naturally knows what it needs to get rid of and actually does it once you stop eating. It's one of the most important things for health and longevity and even anti-aging. It rejuvenates you because your body gets rid of useless but living cells called senescent cells using a process called autophagy. This process is how your body recycles old and damaged cells. These are cells that are still alive, but they're not working properly. Autophagy is like your body's recycling system, turning junk parts into usable cell parts. If you have too much buildup of dysfunctional cells, you will have health problems and they can even potentially turn into cancerous cells. If you fast, you're actually rejuvenating your body. For example, why do we get gray hair? Gray hair is basically caused by non-functioning melanin cells. And if those non-functioning cells are recycled by fasting, you will have less of those types of cells. And instead, you will have more functioning cells. Therefore, you look younger and you have less gray hair. So that's why I like fasting. That's why it made a lot of sense for me to do that. It was very logical to me. I looked at my symptoms: skinny fat, tired, allergies, autoimmune disease, etc., etc. Probably my body is full of toxins, and it doesn't matter if the toxins came via food, drinks, medicine, whatever. I needed to get rid of those toxins in my body, so I did that cleanse, and in fact, I had to clean up 30 years of bad habits, so I knew it had to be the most extreme option, including lots of water fasting. Chapter 2. Finding a healthy diet. After my initial fast, I needed to choose a diet that would improve my health. I have a university degree as a dentist, so it made sense to me to start by looking at my tooth structure to see what I'm supposed to be eating. What I'm actually built to eat, if you will. Our teeth looked like that they're mainly designed for eating plants, or that's what I thought. So I became a raw vegan for a few months. I needed a method I could follow that made sense to me and that I could gather data from about what my body needs and how I can feel good and healthy. So I focused on eating plants at the time following this raw vegan diet because it kind of made sense to me at that time. It was radical, but I believe that if you want, again, extreme results, you need extreme measures, so why not do radical stuff like that? It worked. I started feeling much better than I had before. I lasted for 9 months on totally raw and vegan, but when winter hit, I realized it wasn't possible for me anymore. It wasn't sustainable. I was freezing like crazy, so I added cooked food back into my diet, but stuck to being vegan. This worked for a long time. I was actually vegan for about 8 years and felt a lot better than I had in the past. But I started getting new problems. My sleep quality declined, my sex drive declined, I became pre-diabetic, I was never able to digest plant protein really, and even though I was working out, my body just wasn't in good shape. Eating vegan for me was mostly carbs. A diet that is mostly carbs is essentially just sugar. So I was eating complex sugars all the time, potatoes, rice, fruits, but they still end up in your bloodstream as sugar, so it doesn't really matter. So I started to experience this early stage of diabetes type 2, which was really surprising at the time because I wasn't eating processed sugars like cake or sweets or bread or something, but I was having a lot of fruit juices, smoothies, and therefore carbs. I thought I was healthy, and now this. What the fuck? I was eating lentils, rice, and potatoes too, so at the time I considered my diet actually pretty healthy. But when I started to do blood work, it turned out I was deficient in pretty much everything. I had tried so hard to be healthy, but looking at my blood work, it wasn't working at all. So I had to find something else that worked. I looked for new methods, but I kept thinking, I can't keep going around in cycles. I feel better than I did, so why is my diet not working? I'm an entrepreneur, which means becoming my best self has to be a priority. I wanted to feel even better, have a higher output at work, and bring more value to the world. I wanted to enjoy my life even more. Chapter 3. Discovering biohacking. So, I was looking for new information and I found a book from Dave Asprey about biohacking called The Bulletproof Diet. I knew it would include eating meat. So even though I was aware of the book for around 2 years, it took me that long before I decided to even read it and hear him out. I couldn't make up my mind because I felt like following the diet, which was mainly based on eating grass-fed beef and butter and getting a lot of collagen, would support animal cruelty, for example. I had felt happy eating in a way that has nothing to do with exploiting animals. That's how I had thought about it. Actually, I was afraid of going back to an animal-based diet. What would happen to my health? Maybe it would get even worse. But eventually, I had to be honest with myself. I'm getting older, my health is my priority, nothing works without it, and it ain't going well. I demand more and more of myself. I'm an entrepreneur, so I have to perform in this competitive world. I have to be pushing my company forward. No time for sickness, laziness, weakness, cowardice. Because I am not a narcissist, I am able to question my old opinions. Maybe I was wrong all the time. Maybe I need animal nutrients. How about that? So I actually read The Bulletproof Diet and it all made a lot of sense to me. In short, a lot of plant-based food is toxic because it has defense chemicals. Plants cannot run away or fight, so they have to use chemical weapons to fend off predators like us. Plants like their fruits to be eaten, but nothing else too much. Sounded logical to me, so I started following the Bulletproof Diet and have been for the past few years. Really recommend it. My health did improve by a lot, and now my blood work is perfect. I have a lot more energy and power when working out. But most importantly, I don't have to eat as much as I used to by far. This is a big lifestyle improvement for me. It was very different when I was vegan. Back then I was eating a lot because I wasn't feeling full all the time. Whereas now I can eat as little as once per day and it still feels fantastic and natural and saturating. Chapter 4. The best diet. I believe that life is a journey and I try to make decisions that help me going with nature and my body and not against it. One of the biggest reasons I made myself eat animal products again was what I saw on my travels. I've been all over the world and what I noticed was that every image, every painting of our ancestral tribes shows people with six-packs and in really good shape. Whether it's Aborigines, African tribes, or the old Incas and Mayans, they had great looking bodies. They didn't have any supplements or gyms or protein powders, but they looked better than we did. How is that possible? It's simple. It comes down to nutrition and lifestyle. Of course, it's their diet mainly and what they do all day. And what do they do all day? They eat mostly carnivore. They eat all kinds of animal products. So it seemed logical to me that an animal-based diet might actually be the most healthy. I felt like I was onto something. Of course, they also had no processed food, and I'm also trying to stay away from this as much as I can. I think the more natural a piece of food is, probably the more healthy it is. So if I eat any type of food, I still follow the same guidelines that Marcus Rothkranz initially instilled in my head, which is basically don't eat processed food. Focus on natural food. So if I'm going to drink milk, it's pretty much exclusively raw milk and I only eat the highest quality meat. My goal is to ensure that the more I age, the more healthy my body becomes. Using my diet and my lifestyle changes, I want to feel increasingly younger and not older. Chapter 5. Lessons from my journey. So if you want to be healthy, if you want to feel great and look great, you need to work with your body. You need to work according to the laws of nature and the laws of the universe, and that means that you eat the way you're supposed to eat. And if you want to learn about what you're supposed to eat, look at nature and follow nature's laws. I also advise you to consider fasting to get rid of toxins built up in your body. Fasting is a very natural method of improving your health. Everything you put into your body probably contains toxins, even your drinking water. So when you fast, don't drink water from plastic bottles. Try to get the cleanest, non-bullshit water you can. If you want to be healthy, focus on living naturally. Eat organic and unprocessed wherever you can and make sure that you exercise regularly. I do a fast at least once per year and get my blood work done regularly to keep an eye on my health. If you do this, you will notice a huge change in your health and your energy. My journey, a journey I think a lot of you might be on right now, is a reflection of human existence. This means you start without knowing anything, but in order to improve things, you have to find common sense, use logical thinking and discipline. You need to be able to restrict yourself and not indulge in pleasurable food and drinks too much. If you're able to do that, if you're able to control your food intake and your habits, you already have a recipe for success. The healthier I am, the better I look, the more successful I will become and the more value I will bring to the world. Having the right diet is absolutely the foundation to reaching your full potential. The second is taking control of your dopamine system in order to be more productive. Find out how in this video.